Welcome to Teacher Talk, where real teachers discuss real issues that are happening within our school and within our school district. I'm Dedrick Messenger, and this is my colleague Jackie Collins, and we are both teachers, and we hope that today we can just discuss a few things that are going on within our public school system that teachers are frustrated with. And our topic today is why are teachers frustrated? And want to say before we get started, this does not reflect anything that we do as teachers, but this is just our opinion of how we feel things are going and those that we have talked to around us. So let's jump into this, Jackie, because you know what I think as we look at this and we ask the question why teachers are frustrated, there was a few things that came to mind. I think most people are saying no accountability, overcrowded classrooms, what I'm hearing, over testing, parents, parental involvement, but sometimes too much parental involvement where parents are running the schools, a lack of support from administration, and to top it off and put the cherry on the cake, as we say, teacher pay is entirely too low. And the reason I was saying that, Sister Jackie, the fact is that if you paid a teacher based on what they charge per child for a daycare, we would be paid right. But we don't do that. So, but
Right.
I think about something when we look at this, and you just jump in here and just throw it and tell us. But I was looking at some things on when it comes down to statistics. It says 85% of teachers who respond and describe their school, they described it as a high need school. Even the schools that were charter schools, even the schools that were I'm trying to think of the word that I want to use, not at risk. They still said high need school. Where 50% or more of the students receive free or reduced lunch. Let me say it like that. I mean, 85% of teachers, this is the ones that we were seeing, this is the information that I'm pulling from. And a lot of them are saying, you know what, I'm close to teacher burnout. And I was asking the question, how many of you guys would quit today if you didn't have those years in? And that number was really, really high. You know, you get more than 50% of teachers said they would go somewhere else if they didn't have the years in.
I certainly believe that is true. We can also look at the statistics of how many teachers are lasting less than 5 years. So if we look at year 1 to 5, you see that teachers are not making to that 5th year. And it's particularly because of all of those things that you've named. When you talk about teacher frustration, you have to know that this is not a 7 to 2 job or 7 to 3 job.
Yeah.
So it's very frustrating when I would think, in my opinion, that it's frustrating when teachers are trying to do the best job that they can and willing to put in some extra time, but still the demand is even greater. I mean, they want more. They want tutoring after school. And you have your own family to go home to. So it's a lot when you're talking about just doing, most jobs are just, hey, I come to work at 8 o'clock, I can leave at 5, but this is not that kind of job. And each year it seems like there's more and more that are put on teachers, in my opinion.
Now, let me add to that because right here it said 81% of teachers said their workload has increased. Let me throw these statistics out here. 80% said they're spending more time at the school just attending to things that need to be attended to outside of the normal work hour. 80% say they're spending more time addressing students' mental health needs.
Yeah, mental health has increased tremendously in the schools.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that we have to deal with behavior issues and discipline problems or what have you, but then you throw mental health in there. And a lot of schools these days have therapists at the schools and probably could use additional therapists at the school. So mental health is greater than it has ever been, and it seems to be on the rise. There's a lot of problems with anxiety. A lot of kids suffering with anxiety, depression. They're just overly trying to, I guess, do the schoolwork, but it's so much more that's going on. And I think social media is a big part of that. But
Yeah.
yes, you're talking about mental health, and it's on the rise every time you look around.
Look at this. It says 71% of teachers are spending more of their own money on classroom materials. So our state budget is not changing enough for teachers, as we would say, or they're not putting enough money into education so that we can do the things that we really need to do. It's amazing that we can build stadiums and housings and buildings and all these things for people, but yet our kids are having to pay for lunch. I'm just talking about an expense where teachers are going in their pocket paying for these lunches because we don't want these kids to be hungry at school.
Correct.
We're buying shoes because some parents just can't afford it. We're having to buy food for the classroom because kids cannot go all day without having something, and some of them just need these things. And you're talking
As well
about
as
coming,
teachers trying to provide snacks.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
always trying to keep some type of snack
something.
on hand because some kid is going to be hungry.
Amen. And it talks about, you're talking about counseling and all those things for students. And it talks about 69% of the teachers say getting students on track from learning loss is one of the biggest things that they have to do. 69%. These numbers right here, notice that none of them are below 50%.
Right.
So we're talking about half of our teachers are frustrated, not because they have to do this, but because the resources for them doing it is not available.
It's not.
We got increased classroom size, which brings increased classroom interruptions during the instructional time.
Right.
We got less planning time because other things need to be taken care of. We just got a shortage of everything, and when there's a shortage, there's a frustration right now because people are saying, like we're talking about gas and food, how the prices are going. And look how frustrated people are getting because they're saying, you know what, we don't have enough money to do this. Well, as teachers, we've been fighting this battle for years, and here we are now. Everybody's saying you cannot come through a season like we're coming through and not add more money to the budget.
Right.
Not give teachers more money. In the system that I am in, one of the biggest complaints is that we can't afford to live in this city because the taxes are too high. The rent is too high.
Correct.
The gas is too high. I mean, we can just keep going and going and going. And everybody thinks we're complaining, but I believe that even as adults, it's a cry of frustration that we don't understand because when it comes to the powers that be, how many of them have ever asked, hey, what's your need?
Right.
from the high end, how many senators have ever come to the school and asked a teacher, what's your need?
Right.
What can we do for you? How many, and we only see these people, and this is just my opinion again, we only see them when time for election come around.
Correct.
And they want my vote, and they want to say, what can I do for you? And they'll make all these promises, but nobody's coming to these kids saying, and it's very frustrating to me that we can do all these things for everything else in the city. I was watching a broadcast today, and it said that they had given a vast amount of money to something else, and I was like, but they said they didn't have nothing for the school. We're talking about millions of dollars because somebody voted on it. These are the things that we're talking about. This is what it says, and teachers are quitting.
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you think teachers would be willing to work for the pay with the increase in class sizes if they could remove the discipline that happens? If we could just focus on kids where they are and getting them to their next level, do you think that if we remove over testing, just too much testing, just every time you look up, there's some type of assessment or some type of testing going on. And still, if the ratio was 1 to 35, student teacher ratio, and you didn't have to deal with the complaints of some parents, and some parents are complaining, and it's valid. You know, it's okay, it's valid. But then some, when a kid makes a grade or earns a grade, you want them to earn a higher grade,
Right.
even when they're in the elementary and middle school level or at any level. You want them, you think that they deserve a higher grade. If we removed all of that, do you think teachers would be willing to work for the amount of money that they are being paid?
You know what? That's a good question. And I would say, for the most part, I would say 80 to 85% of us would. Because you're taking you're taking a lot of the stress off of us. You know, when I was in corporate America, every job that came with stress paid a little more money. You know, but what we do, every teacher that's in the system, we got across the line pay, regardless of how many years you've been here. You're gonna get paid this, regardless of how you can. And it's unfair that a school that has no discipline problems, or as a magnet school, and these schools can pretty much run themselves.
Correct.
And then you go to a school that's, we done found 10 guns in it in the last 2 years or whatever, or we're doing all these things and we have all these behavior problems. They're getting paid the same thing. Now, a lot of them are. But what happens is we would stay there, and I think teacher retention would be up.
I think so.
But there, in 2022, this was just out in July 2022. We have 270,000 fewer teachers this year. This was July 2022 than we had last year. You know, that's including teachers, bus drivers, counselors, librarians, any kind of teacher. But look here, between the pandemic and coming back, we lost over 250,000 teachers. That's a lot of teachers. You can't find another profession that is losing professionals at that level, especially college educated professionals. That's what I'm saying. And man. But it tells me something when you go back to being overwhelmed and not being able to operate in the system, because in 2020, I'm just going by statistics, what I've seen. They said we had 500,000 professors to leave. 2020. Then we had the pandemic. See, nothing happened. So here we are, and we're losing them. We're losing them
so rapidly.
Yeah. 8% of our teachers leave, and I want to go back to something. You used a statistic. It said you're talking about the percentage of teachers that was quitting, and it said that 45% of new teachers leave the profession within 5 years. So you're on point. It used to be about 50. They said 45, 50%. But watch this now. They don't quit their current position. They leave teaching altogether.
Correct. Just go find a totally different profession.
Yeah.
Like it's that overwhelming.
Right.
That they say, I just can't do this. It's that much stress.
That much
teaching.
stress.
And usually if you look at it and you look at how teaching has evolved and go back, there used to be, you had the same teachers in that building for years.
Yes.
But that's not so anymore.
Right.
You know, if you find that, you're really lucky.
I had you say that I had some friends, and her and her husband taught, and they had 87 years between the two of them in school. One had 85 and one had 42, and one had 45. And then I had several friends in the system that was teachers that had 42, 40, 41 years. And today, because of teacher frustration and burnout and being overwhelmed with stuff, we got teachers that are quitting on the day of 30 years, if they make it 30.
Yeah, if they make it 30.
If they make it 30, and it's amazing that we wrestle with that now, because some systems, they are putting different parameters in now that is not even lucrative for us even to seem to want to be teachers. And you think about this, most parents are telling, if teachers are telling their kids, don't be a teacher.
And I think that's because we are afraid. We know what's happening.
Yeah.
We can see it. We're in the field. So you don't want that for your child
Yeah.
per se. And when I first started in the profession, I absolutely loved it, and I can say I love it now. Is it um, way more demanding now than it was 20 years ago? Of course. Of course, you expect some responsibilities to be added to a job. That's just normal for any person. But when you have, when you throw something like testing, sometimes these kids are testing or doing some type of assessment every month or every other month. There's no way to meet the demands of what the state requires of you and what the
Yeah.
district wants you to teach.
Yeah.
It's just no way. It's kind of impossible.
Let's listen to this. Like you said, a little more than half of teachers are satisfied with their job.
Mm.
Only 12% say they are very satisfied with their job. That's down from 39%.
Mm.
More than half of teachers said they likely wouldn't advise their younger self to pursue a career in teaching.
Mm.
So if I had to do it all over again, and I knew now I would never
wouldn't
be
do it.
a teacher.
Right.
No, you know what? That's sad, man, because you know what? I take joy in changing lives and empowering these kids. I love my job. I really do.
Me too.
But the things that come with it sometimes, it's unfortunate we can't step back and we can't take days like everybody else. They give us sick days, but they don't give us self-care days. I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah.
They don't give us that most corporate American people, they get 2 weeks, of vacation, but we get days off and people say, well, you get paid with your day off. No, that's my money already. So they're not paying me.
Right.
They're not paying me. I'm having to save my own money for the summer.
Right.
And then more than 50% of teachers have to have some kind of supplementary income coming in, meaning they're bartenders, they have some kind of little business they're trying to run, they're babysitting, they're tutoring, they're doing something to try to make ends meet. And you're wondering why they're so burnt out, because there's not another profession that you can go into that you got to have a license. That's us, right? You got to pass the National Teacher Education Exam. That's us, right? And then here you are, you're saying, I got to leave a professional job, and then I got to go work at a Walmart or wherever, and to make ends meet, to make extra money. And here it is, man. Why am I doing this if I'm a professional? There's not another professional around that has to do that. And we want to know why are teachers frustrated?
Not with all that's required of a teacher,
Right.
Because you get that first degree and you may get it in teaching, but if you do not pursue further education, then you're not going to make a little bit more money than what you're making with that first degree. So, and again, with that first degree and being certified, it's going to be difficult for you to kind of probably try to make it. You definitely couldn't live in a large city.
Right.
You couldn't do that. You would have to find a smaller, probably rural area, and those areas probably are not going to pay as much as the larger cities.
Right, and
but
the
it's more
commute.
expensive.
You got to commute. I mean, I commute every day. The price of gas sometimes make teachers say, "Man, I'm just gonna have to stop. Find something closer. You got to take less money if you're working in a system that pays more money."
Correct.
And think about this. We got some states. I was just looking it up. A teacher in New York that's the number one paying district in the United States. They're going to make a ton of money, but the cost of living in New York is up. So we're not looking at the cost of living, quote unquote, where we're at now to say if this is rising, then we need to give teachers more. They tell people that they put all on the news that we're giving raises and stuff like that, and people really think that we're getting a lot of money. But when it finally comes down, when the taxes come out, you are getting very minimal. You may be getting gas money when it's all over. But people say that, and I was looking at, they said, what states have the biggest teacher shortage? Which states have the biggest teacher frustration when it comes? It's the southern states.
I believe that. I can see that.
Yeah. It says the southern states like Florida come out on top then Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Has a lot of vacancies every year. So you saw Mississippi with the highest teacher vacancy this year with over 3,000 vacancies coming into the 21-22 school year.
I guess it's such a shortage that you're hearing all these stories in the news now where they're willing to let people teach without even having a certification. Again, if we found a way to decrease some of this frustration and take some of this load off of teachers, I think that we wouldn't be in this crisis that we're in. And I really don't see in the next 5 to 10 years it getting any better because all of the people that are certified are leaving the profession. Not all, but a great number of them are leaving the profession.
I think it's going to be a big number of teachers just leaving within the next 5 years. You think these numbers right here are going to be very low based on what we're going to see in the upcoming years. But it is frustrating to me that you could just tell anybody that they can be a teacher. That's very frustrating to me.
Well, don't you think they're desperate at this point?
Well, but you know what?
School districts are desperately looking for.
They tell me that we need nurses, but I just can't stop teaching and go be a nurse. They tell me we need doctors and lawyers, but I just can't stop teaching.
Correct.
And go be that right now. I still got to go to school and get myself certified and learn the profession. I think it's a slap in the face. This is some of the frustrations are coming. This is a slap in the face to us as teachers when I can tell anybody that they can come and be a teacher.
Correct.
And you're wondering why our kids are failing is because it's a lack of professionalism from the powers that be to say that anybody can do this. This is what the guy called us. He said, well, governor in Tennessee said, the guy come over, he said, we was dumb, teachers, we wasn't smart, all these things like this. This is what people think about us. This is what people think about us. But then you can't be anything without me.
Right.
I'm your foundation. And you want to keep me frustrated? You want to keep me off balance?
Right.
I'm your foundation. It seemed that, hey man, I want my kid to be the best that he can be. Let's pay him.
Right.
Let's get his classroom size down to the point where we can teach. Let's take the frustration of dealing with classroom discipline. I mean, Sister Jackie, we've seen some of these videos of these kids doing things in the classroom. Wow. And then the first thing happened that a teacher tried to get one of them out the classroom, teacher sued. Well, the teacher shouldn't have done that. She should have left him alone. Well, you know what? I want that kid to come into your house and start tearing up all of your nice china, breaking all of your glasses, knocking out windows, throwing everything away. And you said, he doesn't belong here.
Right.
That's what you would say. But because you don't deal with it, it's easy for you to watch a video and analyze it and say that teacher was out of order.
Or part of a video. You really
you don't see the whole thing.
Exactly.
They always show the part that they want to show. Am I right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I wish that we would have had some stats on other countries and how they treat their educators, because I've seen some information where they're treated like royalty if you're an educated in other countries, even serving them with the white cloth across their arms because they respect their educators so much. Whereas in the United States, it's kind of like the total opposite. Like, hey, just do this job. And and again, we need to look at, is this effective? We need to look at the effectiveness of it. When you have teachers that are frustrated in the sense of where they don't have that backup, we don't have the administration backup sometimes, and I'm not saying me, I'm just saying we, as I talk to my colleagues and other colleagues, we're discussing this, we need that support, because it's already stressful enough. And then you want us to take time out of teaching and then test. Those are days that we could be teaching.
That's right. That's right.
So it's just so many things that I don't think that they really consider to make this machine work properly.
And you can let me jump in here. I want to say this because we, as they say, are public officials, as they say. But anybody can make a charge on us. And say something. The first thing they do, they dismiss us without merit. And then when they find out that it was not true, the person that did it with malicious intent, they just walk away.
Mhm.
And it's interesting that every time a guy's running for public office, I ask him, when are you going to make a law that protects teachers? That you cannot just falsely charge me for something. And if you do that, and then we find that you did it, then let whatever you wanted me to get, let them have it.
Right, right.
Then it will cut down on some of these things. See, the thing about it, Sister Jackie, and I'm jumping in here with that because I said that way because we have no parameters to deter any of this stuff that we're talking about. A kid can come in our classroom and do anything that he wants to do.
Mm.
He can only be suspended for so many days. He has to be here. You know, the only time you get him out is if he bring a knife or a gun, or he violates somebody. You know, through sexual exploitations or any something things like that. But the key is that we don't have any rights, and I think this is what I'm hearing from teachers right now. You know, our rights are very minimal, and you want us to wave a magic wand every day to go in that classroom and to take little Johnny and little Susie and turn around their behavior. And you know, the thing about it is the parent know their kid is behaving like this. This is the frustrating part with
Correct.
me. They know this kid has problems, but yet they will come in and charge you and say you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You know, example, what do you got here, man? We got a kid that says, a parent comes in and says, I don't want my kid to use his laptop. Why? I don't want you to send his laptop home with him. Why? Because he plays video games on it. Well, you're the parent. Right. Make him stop.
Right.
So, Jackie, you know, I mean, I want my kid to do all his homework at school. Why? Because I want him to play when he gets home.
Oh, yeah.
These are the things that we are hearing. These are the things that we're hearing. You know, I don't want my kid to wear a school uniform. Why? Because he likes this brand of clothing.
Right.
These are the things. I don't want my kid to sit in this room. Why? Because the sun is shining through the wall. These are the things that we hear. I mean, we've heard so many things.
So many different things, right?
That the parent can say, you know what? When we were going to school, I know things change. But you know what? Our parents said, if you can't do nothing else, you better behave.
Right. Again, you have to look at, this is where it has evolved to, but if we go back years, you'll see there was no such thing as believing a kid over a teacher.
That's
and
right.
Sometimes even the kid was right, but there was no such thing. Your parents said, hey, I'm going to believe this teacher because they had such great respect for teachers, for educators, for them teaching your children. But now it's totally opposite.
But let me jump in on that, Sister Jackie, that we have to, how would I say, we have to put ourselves in position to be respected too. We can't just do anything either. Some of us are outside the lines too as teachers. I'm going to say that.
I agree.
I'm not just going to throw all this on the parent because I really want to be in the middle of the road when I talk about this because it's fair. We got some good parents and we got some bad teachers. We got some bad parents and we got some good teachers.
Correct.
So we got both of them.
Right.
But it's unfortunate that when you shake the bag up, it's like that popcorn I like when you got the cheese and the caramel together. You just can't get a handful without getting both of them.
Right.
So you're going to get that. And so what we have to do, we still have to say, since I'm going to get this, I'm going to make provisions for this. You know, even if I go, man, I don't like the caramel, I still got to have a cup or a napkin or something that I can put it on when I take it out of it. I still got to make provisions for it and to say, you know what, I'm not going to use it. So I say that because we got to understand that as teachers, we got to get back to being professional too, Sister Jackie. That's one of our frustrating problems because we don't come in with a professional attitude. Our dress, our demeanor, our talk, the way well, first of all, I think we can be friends with students and show ourselves cordial to them, but we can't be friends with them. I mean, when I say that, am I making sense with that? I mean, adult, we shouldn't try to be friends. We should try to be respected. We should try to be someone that the kids look up to and say, you know what, I need to listen to them.
Correct.
So you know. That's one of the things I was thinking about. Why are we frustrated? No accountability. Overcrowded classroom, 30, 40 kids in the classroom. Over testing. Every year we come out with something brand new. Parents running the school. They come in, tell the administrator what to do. PTOs running the school. You ain't got no say so. And once that is did, you get the lack of support and we say low teacher pay. These are just a few things that we see today, in this session. But think about this. Give us your opinion when you hear this and look at it. Give us your opinion. Check our threads out, and we're going to be coming in week to week with you. So hopefully you can say something that will enlighten something we were saying and give us some information on some things that we don't know, because we just, like we say, this doesn't reflect the opinions of our systems that we work for. This is just an opinion of me and Sister Jackie's, as we said. And I'm going to say Sister Jackie because I'm a pastor and she's a sister. Yeah. And we're teachers, so we try to do the right thing. Down here, I say that. We're just so informal, so we like to do this. But I thank you for joining us today. We're at the end of our session. We appreciate it, and God bless you.